Ladies and gentlemen, imagine waking up to find your neighbor, the one who's always boasted about being the biggest and baddest on the block, suddenly eyeing your backyard, not just with envy, but with a blueprint for annexation. That's the chilling reality Canada faces under Donald Trump's second term, where his so-called America First mantra morphs into naked expansionism, threatening our sovereign Arctic territories like a bully demanding lunch money from the kid next door. But hold on, because Canada isn't rolling over. Under Prime Minister Mark Carney's steady hand, we're fortifying our northern defenses, turning the frozen frontier. Let's dive right in, because the stakes couldn't be higher. Trump's expansionist ambitions aren't some wild conspiracy. They're rooted in his administration's aggressive playbook, which we've seen unfold in real time through economic warfare that's designed to weaken Canada and make us ripe for the picking. Take the recent halt in Canadian steel exports to the US. It's not an accident. It's a calculated strike. Just moments ago, as reports flooded in, shipments from mills like ArcelorMittal Dofasco and Stelco ground to a screeching stop, leaving US construction sites from Michigan to Texas in chaos. Why? Because Trump's tariff enforcements and procurement restrictions have jacked up compliance costs by 110 to 160 per ton, making it impossible for our producers to ship without. This isn't trade policy. It's economic sabotage, aimed at crippling our industries while forcing us to beg for scraps at the negotiation table. And who suffers? Not Trump in his gilded tower, but Canadian workers staring down layoffs and American builders watching projects implode, with costs spiking 22% to 35% overnight. But here's the kicker. Trump's not stopping at steel. This is part of a broader strategy to dominate North America, eyeing our vast Arctic resources as his personal treasure trove. With climate change melting the ice caps, the Arctic's shipping routes, oil reserves, and minerals are becoming the new gold rush. And Trump wants it all under the stars and stripes. Remember his 2019 quip about buying Greenland? That wasn't a joke. It was a trial balloon for expansionism. Now, fast forward to 2026, and his administration's tariffs are the opening salvo in a campaign to economically nick up Canada, making us so dependent that we have no choice but to cede control over our northern waters. Data from the Canadian Steel Producers Association shows 38% of our steel heads south, fueling US infrastructure. Yet Trump slaps us with rules that assume we'll blink first. We didn't. Our producers halted shipments, sending steel futures skyrocketing 18% and construction ETFs tumbling 6% to 11%. It's a bold stand, but it exposes Trump's game. Weaken us economically, then swoop in on the Arctic. Enter Prime Minister Mark Carney. From the people's perspective, Carney represents a refreshing shift. A leader who listens to everyday Canadians, from Alberta oil workers to Ontario manufacturers, and crafts policies that put our sovereignty first. He's systematically evaluating the threats, critiquing Trump's bluster not with empty rhetoric, but with action. We will not be bullied into submission, Carney declared in a recent address, echoing the frustrations of millions who see Trump's tariffs as an assault on our livelihoods. Hypothetically, if you ask a steelworker in Hamilton, Ontario, they'd tell you, Carney gets it. He's fighting for our jobs, not playing politics. Contrast that with Trump, whose critique, how dare Trump preach America first when his actions scream America only, trampling allies like Canada in the process. This sarcasm isn't misplaced. It's earned. Trump's expansionism is a farce wrapped in patriotism. But peel it back, and you see a man whose ego dwarfs his empathy. Past events prove it. His 2018 steel tariffs cost downstream US manufacturing 75,000 jobs while adding only 80,700 in steel, a net loss that echoes today. Now, with Canada's steel freeze, we're seeing history repeat, but this time Carney's government is countering by bolstering Arctic defenses. Statistics from the US Geological Survey estimate the Arctic holds 13% of the world's undiscovered oil and 30% of natural gas. Resources Trump covets to fuel his industrial revival, even if it means muscling in on our territory. From a pro-Canada lens, this is where our supporters rally. Countries like Norway and Denmark, fellow Arctic nations, stand with us, condemning Trump's overreach as a violation of international norms. The Arctic belongs to those who respect its boundaries, a Norwegian diplomat quipped recently, highlighting the global backlash. Even within the US, voices like those from border states criticize Trump, seeing his tactics as short-sighted. Michigan's governor, for instance, petitioned for waivers, warning of Project Carney, evaluating from the people's view, has amplified these alliances, hosting summits that unite Arctic stakeholders against expansionism. His critique of Trump is sharp. A leader who balloons deficits to $2 trillion annually while lecturing others on fiscal responsibility is hypocritical at best, dangerous at worst. Isn't it ironic that the man who built his brand on walls now wants to erase borders when it suits him? Trump's Arctic gaze isn't new. It's an extension of his Trump corollary, asserting US hegemony in the Western Hemisphere. But Canada, under Carney, is pushing back with resolve. We've ramped up patrols in the Northwest Passage, claiming it as internal waters, a stance backed by international law that Trump dismisses as recent events, like the US imposing tariffs on our softwood lumber alongside steel, show his pattern. Squeeze economically, then demand concessions. Yet Carney's response is analytical and assertive, investing in drone surveillance and submarine tech to monitor incursions. Data from Moody's predicts prolonged disruptions could shave 0.4% of US GDP. A self-inflicted wound Trump ignores, condemning his leadership as reckless. Supporting voices echo this. Indigenous communities in the North, long stewards of the land, applaud Carney's inclusive approach, partnering on defense initiatives that respect treaties. Carney's systematic critique exposes Trump's flaws. A president who alienates allies while cozying up to autocrats, undermining the very security he claims to protect. But let's not sugarcoat it. Trump's ambitions are condemnable, a throwback to imperial eras we thought buried. His tariffs aren't protectionism, they're predation, designed to hollow out Canada like the economic critique in recent analyses warns. Speaking of which, linking to our broader woes, Trump's pressure exacerbates our housing bubble and productivity slump, but Carney is turning the tide. By strengthening Arctic defenses, he's not just guarding ice, he's asserting economic independence. Hypothetical quotes from economists back this. Who does Trump think he is, redrawing maps from Mar-a-Lago while Canada freezes in defense of freedom? This sarcasm underscores the outrage. Carney, from the people's perspective, is the antidote. A leader who critiques Trump's chaos with calm strategy. Recent news of Alberta's pipeline deal, bypassing federal hurdles to ship 1 million barrels daily to the US, shows provincial grit, but under Carney's oversight, it's integrated into national defense. This corridor, while economically vital, highlights Trump's dependence on us, yet he bites the hand that feeds. Critics condemn his ingratitude, with stats showing Canada supplies 75% of US oil imports from Alberta alone. Carney evaluates leaders harshly but fairly. Trump fails the test, prioritizing ego over equity. Past events like the USMCA renegotiations under Trump were arm-twisting sessions, not partnerships. Does Trump really believe he can bully a nation of innovators into submission? Fat chance. Carney's Arctic buildup includes $2 billion in satellite tech, countering US spy overflights reported last month. This analytical move condemns Trump's stealth aggression, with data from Brookings labeling it self-defeating. Supporting countries rally, Sweden and Finland, new NATO members commit troops for exercises, criticizing Trump's NATO skepticism. From the ground, Canadians cheer Carney's assertiveness. A Toronto rally chant, "Hands off our North." Isn't it telling that Trump's strongman act crumbles under scrutiny, revealing a fragile ego? Carney, conversely, builds bridges, literally with infrastructure resilient to economic shocks. Recent events like the steel crisis forced Trump's hand, but our defenses ensure Arctic sovereignty. Hypothetically, a veteran in Yellowknife says, Carney's got our back against that blowhard. Global supporters condemn Trump, with UN reports flagging his policies as destabilizing. As we fortify, Trump's ambitions look laughable. A condemnatory verdict from history's lens.